Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. My untold story is actually that artificial intelligence isn't really about technology, but more on that later. Let's first introduce ourselves. My name is Paul van Son. I'm Innovation Manager of High Tech Campus and the initiator of the AI Innovation Center. And in this next 45 minutes, Sebastiaan and I are going to tell you more about what this AI Innovation Center is all about and how you can participate in it.
Thanks. My name is Sebastiaan Laurijsse. I'm a transformation strategist at Splunk, a data company that helps transform your company using data. And I'm also supporting Paul in building the ecosystems and partnerships of the AI Innovation Center. And more will be demonstrated during this session. But nice to meet you and looking forward to the next part of the sessions.
Before we get started about our mission and vision, please feel free to post your questions in the chat, and we will also answer them also during the session. So we want to make it as interactive as possible, so feel free to drop any questions you want, and we'll try to answer them at least. So our mission with the AI Innovation Center is really to industrialize AI in the Brainport Eindhoven region. That's the purpose of everything we do. So we foresee, especially in this region that's really focused on high-tech hardware, or used to focus on high-tech hardware, we found out that AI is really top of mind with most of the companies in this region, but they have very big struggles with applying it. So that really was the reason that we started this initiative. So we envisioned the center that we just opened a few months ago to be an accelerator and incubator for new AI business propositions, new products, new services, and so on and so forth. So, but why an AI Innovation Center? So we did an extensive study as High Tech Campus for our long-term strategy just 1.5 years ago. We look forward to 2030, and we found out that 70% of the people working on the campus, it's a selection of the people working here, so around 3,000 people. 70% of them say that AI really is the top technology for them to focus on developing in the next 5 to 10 years from now. So it was really a remarkable result, and in the study we also surveyed not only the population but also 40 key stakeholders from the region, business people, but also people from the outside, with an outside-in perspective on what's going on in this region. And basically they all say that AI, the application and adoption of AI really is key for the future of the region. And that brought us to the idea of setting up a center where we can support companies in adopting this technology, because they at the same time they see that it's important, but they also see, and they have a lot of struggles with really adopting this technology and applying it in their products because of a few reasons. But first, let me take one sidestep in this presentation, in this session, because I was mentioning that we are looking forward to 2030 to remain the smartest square kilometer in Europe by 2030, and therefore we have to do a lot of new things, we believe. So we had already had 3 key focus areas for the last 10 years, let's say, when it comes to application domains, which were health, energy, smart environments. We rephrased that and broadened the scope of these application areas to health and vitality, sustainable energy and storage, and smart environments and connectivity, based really on the core of this region, the core capabilities and competences that are in this region and what the companies are focusing on. And to that we added 2 new application fields, which are software and platforms and applied intelligence. So that is everything that has to do with data. So it's more on the bottom of the slide you see the soft technology, and on the upper side of the screen you see the more hardware, classic Brainport technologies. So we really want to shape the ecosystem around these 5 application areas and the underlying enabling technologies that you see in the bottom of the slide. So we do everything we do as High Tech Campus organization is based on 5 strategic pillars, and that's on the next slide. So we believe that we have to focus on developing a global high-tech ecosystem. So we already have in this region a very good ecosystem. Of course, we're world famous for that, and we focus only as campus on boosting the latest technologies. We do this, of course, in partnerships because that's the only way forward. We have to do it together because we're just a small organization ourselves, but we're surrounded with a lot of very highly qualified companies, institutes, organizations in this region with whom we have to collaborate really to develop our campus and this region in the right direction. And speaking about the right direction, we really believe that's sustainable, vital, and accessible for everyone. Sustainability, of course, is a very hot topic. I'm sure it's mentioned in a lot of presentations already today. So that really is the way to go. And we also have the ambition to become the most sustainable campus of Europe by 2025, which is a very, very big challenge, but we're going there. And we believe that if we do these 4 things right, we will be the last thing, and that's the ultimate breeding ground for new talent to emerge and to develop themselves and their companies towards the future. And the AI Innovation Center is one of the big, let's say, flagship projects coming out of this strategy that we develop as High-Tech Campus ourselves.
So, where Paul rounded off on the 2030 vision, we also would like to give you the insights on how to make that step forward, how to start adopting artificial intelligence as part of your ecosystem, your product development, or of your value streams of the company. To do so, we have developed 5 building blocks related towards your adoption journey. The first of one I think is very relevant for everyone is, where is it really about? Why is it so mystic topic? Coming back on the untold story of Paul, it's not mystery, it's not magic. It's often already available technology applied in a way that it provides a lot of data, and with machine learning, with a lot of fun statements we had of our founding partners, we have identified it's not maybe that unique, maybe it's even commodity, but how can you demystify AI and start that journey of AI itself? Our value streams are not limited, our activities are not limited to only technology. It's also focusing on the culture enablement of an organization. It's also focusing on developing the way of working, but also working with technology and seeing those immense opportunities that the companies at the High-Tech Campus brings forward here. And I'm always surprised on what is being demonstrated in those rooms, in those events that are being hosted during the event, even today, that I really see that this is the breeding area of high-tech talent with universities, companies, and those private public sectors that really contribute in making an impact in Europe and beyond the Brainport itself. The next step is we would like to help you to initiate those activities. How are we going to do it? Do you need to have a workshop? Will we bring it forward? Do we are able to identify the needs on skills? Do you have the right competences? Is your organization structure in a way as such that it drives the real autonomy of your teams and usage of data? But if you have initiated those in your ideas, you have that creative mind that brings forward and are driving those initiatives. But then it comes into making the next step of your journey. How do you start applying it? Do you apply it at one place? Do you bring it scattered in the organization? Do you have a guerrilla movement in your organization that has the best ideas? And honestly, I see a lot of guerrilla movements here on the organization and the campus. And coming back on the story of Paul, it's really, I'm here for almost 15 years, I said, worked for many companies, and I'm very keen to see that what is happening here on technology, beyond technology, but also on those sustainability, is incredible breeding environment. And then our last stop is if you're really at the level of applying, you have those many initiatives, then using data in everything you do is the level of industrialized AI in the region of Brainport. Connecting it back to our mission is to help organizations, people, communities in the region of Brainport to industrialize the usage of AI. So I already, during our kickoff event, and I already said it, that Arno from ASML, who's really improving the yield of those amazing machines that they are building in Veldhoven, is you need to accept that AI is just commodity. And I think that was the statement of the 22nd of April, if I remember correctly, where he presented on killing the AI demon. He step by step brought us to it out, step by step he brought us through how he worked in the journey of adapting AI. And then he said, those machine learning, everyone will have access to the same algorithm. Everyone with a big enough wallet will get the compute power to identify those, let's call it, statistic analysis and commodities between the data sets. However, those models is what sets you apart from others. That's the real intellectual property. Arnaud is, by the way, one of our founding members. A little bit more about the founding members later on in this presentation. So, where can you find us? So, we have LinkedIn, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, but what you see in front of us is already the initial snippets being made of the initial events, where you find Signify, ASML, Philips and NXP presenting on what they have done in their company on adopting and using artificial intelligence. Smart lighting, improving the yield, how NXP is using AI on the edge, and really those interesting elements that are must-see to identify how you could leverage artificial intelligence and data in the edge, on the core, your company and product development. It's not limited to only one part of your industry. We had the luxury of Kees van der Klauw, who kicked off the event itself, and he really gave the state of AI where he is, and also what he has been able to succeed the grants of even driving the adoption beyond the current level of usage. And then last, myself gave a presentation about the diversity, the bias of data, and the human aspects of AI, and the fears that exist about using AI as part of your daily life. How have we done it? So our focus is how we're going to help you doing it. So we have identified those 4 steps on initiating, demystifying, and also accelerate the growth. But we also know that you need to develop those knowledge and capabilities. So what you can expect from us is that we will organize events and develop a curriculum and education with an easy access platform that you can use and get the skills required to start, initiate, or even scale your usage of AI. We have an ecosystem and infrastructure where we are working with partners across the industry who are able to scale, develop certain assets for adoption of AI, and really helps you to understand how they help the customers on adopting AI. And we're looking into opportunities to work with our founding partners like Philips on what is the platform for healthcare use cases related towards AI. So that we have multiple partners available that you can collaborate with, and a technical infrastructure not only limited towards that, but even moving forward to even square meters in an area where you find the most innovative AI startups. And then we go forward where you can find services related towards we help you adopt and accelerate. Think about design thinking. Think about those creative workshops on identifying the problems and solutions towards adopting AI in your organization. As such, you can drive new projects and applications as been shown by Paul earlier in this presentation. In the middle, but more later, is the AI Leadership Forum, where we need you to try and join us. Events and educations. What I have listed already are the technology events, the use cases, the industry events, where we really ask industry experts to present. We bring forward best practices and pitfalls around adopting AI, and we have seen many interesting use cases fail. Industrial courses. Think about those courses where you are working with industry vertical specialists on manufacturing, high-tech, research and development, who really helps you on understanding AI in their area of interest, mobility. And you have a high-tech campus with all those interests available. And even masterclasses, where we have experienced leaders like Arnaud, Jörg from Philips, who's really helping us what they have done as an industry thought leader on the masterclasses. They will bring forward and give you access to those best practices and lessons learned, but the opportunity to have interactive sessions, virtually or physically, as been shown in the room in front of you of this picture. Ecosystems and infrastructures. So we are soliciting building partnerships. It's an invite to you, but it's also an action for ourselves to make sure that we identify the best possible partnerships. We are looking into leveraging the existing technical infrastructure. We are working with industry partners like Google, Microsoft, and identifying them how they can support us in working with our AI ecosystem. Not only limited to our own services, but also working with startups in our organization that are available. Please join us, come look, and you will find those awesome startups with new ideas on how to transform the current existing, the way we live and the way we work. And then what I have said already on adoption acceleration and the AI design sprints, design thinking, workshops, hackathons, and where we're also looking into venture creations and working with you on building the next possible startup with your creative idea. And feel free to tell us about those awesome ideas and how we can help you to make that next step. Paul.
Great, thanks for the further clarification about what we're going to do. And you see there is a lot of work to do. It's a very ambitious plan, and we're just getting started, and we're really developing fast. And we see a lot of traction already from the industries, and a lot of willingness with all kind of partners in the ecosystem to drive this thing forward. But also a little bit more on that later. So we as High-Tech Campus, we see really the urgency of this topic, and therefore we decided to commit a very centralized spot on the campus to this whole initiative. And it's actually in building HT5 here, located just besides the strip on the ground floor. So a very accessible, prominent spot on the campus, really accessible, and it also should be the community space, the space that you just saw in Sebastiaan's slide. It is really becoming let's say, the living room for everybody that's interested in AI in this region. So feel free to visit us. In this slide, you see where it's exactly located. Also on the ground floor, we have a community environment where everybody can just jump in, present the challenge or present the use case, etc. All the events will be hosted there. And on the first floor, we also have more facilities where also companies can be located. And that's just, if it's up to me, this is just a start. But we choose this location really to underpin the importance of this initiative for the High-Tech Campus.
Yeah, so I think also even today, where the BOM is being held, not the BOM itself, but activities where we bring groups of people together about sharing knowledge, setting the agenda for different industries related towards data. I think that's already showing that the AI Innovation Center and the creative area that you have been created is really already starting to kick off.
And maybe for the people watching who are wondering what the BOM actually is, it's a Brabant Development Agency, so the regional economic development agency of the province. And it couldn't be much more spot on, because it's about the high-tech systems and material sector in this province, and it's about the future of the sector. And it makes perfect sense, I think, to host such an event about the future of this sector in a place like the AI Innovation Center.
And you already demonstrated, I think, from Adoption Acceleration that you're talking about this big event. But also last week you held company workshops where they just come together to have the creative room and work in an agile manner on driving their way of starting those initiatives, or even already they are further ahead in the journey.
Yeah.
But we address the topic, I think, many times on setting the agenda. And I think what is in the middle is the AI leadership forum. We are not someone from an ivory tower and try to guess what's being required by the industry. We have created a practice that's been called the AI Leadership Forum, a community that's been created by you, for you. And that's critical as part of the structure. The AI Leadership Forum is being composed of all interested individuals of the region. And that's not limited to Brainport, but those who really feel that there is a relevance required for the area of interest. We want to make sure that we generate maximum relevance for you and impacting those individuals by the center itself. So the AI Leadership Forum is an organized community driven by industry leaders for industry leaders. And in some other workshops I'm giving, leadership is not limited towards a role. It's not a practice, it's an art. And therefore, it's also everyone is a leader. So it's not limited to those who have hierarchically a leadership position in an organization. No, those who are driving impact from a technology perspective, a leadership perspective, or from a community perspective, or some that facilitate that change. I think that is being critical to say. The initial event, we had already 622 registrants. However, we have been targeted to reach that goal of 2,000 members of the AI Leadership Forum, an environment where you can join and follow those interesting activities around those three elements as listed on the triangle. However, that's not a big group. What we want to do, that we want to split that big group into those where we have created relevance for those elements are being required by those leaders or people who facilitate a leadership position. Therefore, we have created those AI circles. What you see on the right side of this picture is the AI for good. AI around legal. How do you construct your contracts? What are the legal consequences of using decision on the edge or decision making by technology? Machine learning. How do you use specific algorithms to correlate your data? We also have seen, and that's an interesting one, maybe you would like to highlight a little bit more about the sports circle of AI. It's not about betting, right?
No, it's not about sports betting. It's also exactly what we want to see, actually, that there's initiatives coming out of the community because sports really wasn't top of mind with us because we were focusing on this high-tech industry, but it seems that there are interesting crossovers between high-tech industry and applications in sport domains. So there are a few people really eager to set up an AI in sports circle and develop all kinds of initiatives varying from events, writing articles, videos, and developing use cases for sports clubs. And that's also interesting in this environment and this partnership of Brainport, where we can see how we can collaborate also with PSV, for example, to see how we can leverage AI for their innovation challenges.
Yeah. But I think to answer a question that's coming in here, Paul, is that you're not running a guerrilla movement, right? So how you are connected with all those activities towards the other AI initiatives?
Well, sometimes it feels like a little bit of a guerrilla movement, but we're for sure very well connected. It's actually a frequently asked question, I can say. Yeah. Of course, you have for the people who don't know, you have the Dutch AI coalition, or I think in officially in Dutch it's the Netherlands AI Coalition, headed by Kees van der Klauw. Of course, very a well-known person here on campus. And the Dutch AI Coalition is organized, let's say, in regional hubs. So you have the Brainport AI Hub, which is the regional hub for here, and that not only consists of, let's say, the classical Brainport region, but also Tilburg, Den Bosch, so almost Brabant broad, I would say.
Don't forget the West.
Yeah, also the West, of course. Sorry, sorry for the inhabitants of Western Brabant, but so we're organized on a regional level, and in this Brainport AI Hub, as it's called, we have alignment with all the stakeholders involved, from also Den Bosch with JETS, Tilburg with the university and Mind Labs, but also here in Eindhoven area with the Technical University, with the manufacturing, Brainport Industries campus, etc. So we have an alignment. There's some kind of a governance model to align activities in the region, and also they really see campuses and this kind of physical environments really as landing spots for all kind of activities, and bringing together all kind of activities in the field of AI in this industry. Yeah. So we're very well aligned there.
But also what I think sets us apart is that we are really soliciting feedback. Continuous feedback as part of our, let's call it, values in our organization. So how do we engage with all those individuals who are interested in using data, who are interested to see how AI can work for good? And therefore we have set out these circles where we currently have 81 members and are still searching for more members to set the agenda and really start developing those initiatives or assets that are needed by those industry leaders, that's needed by yourself. But also we offer you thought leadership, coaching and training to make sure you are able to develop those elements where you believe and you deem to see important for yourself, your team, your organization, or the community itself. One of the biggest circles we have seen most interest is digital transformation, where we are setting the agenda on how we will help companies adopt technology as part of their organization, as well for product development, as well of their own organization of the value streams, order to cash, procurement to pay, and other elements where we are willing to see how we can help drive the transformation. Not only from a technology perspective, but for sure where also other organizations communicate about 70% of the digital transformations fail due to culture. And we have seen, and also by the topic of mentioned by Paul, we see that is one of the important elements to focus on.
There's another question coming from the audience. Can you give some more examples of projects that will take place in the AI Innovation Center? So there's already a lot going on. However, there are, I think now 6 or 7 companies permanently located in the center. We're really getting started. Maybe you can tell a little bit about one of the startups that's already emerging in the center. That's fun. But first, let me tap into what we want to do as high-tech campus ourselves. So we're working on a use case actually ourselves that we want to use machine learning to learn about the energy consumption of our building. So actually the building that we're located in, HCC 5, we have a challenge there with the use of energy, and we want to see if we can use machine learning to optimize the use of energy, basically. Yeah. So that's one of the use cases that's going on. Maybe you want to...
There you can see that this high-tech campus works together, right? Where the target set out to be the most sustainable campus at 2025. By using our own, let's call it incubation center, we are looking into, can we find opportunities to achieve those goals while even learning about those activities. I think one of the most critical ones that I would like to show already, and it's a little bit, one of the principles is don't declare victory too soon, but this is really already a good example, is we initiated the kickoff of the AI innovation circles, the circles that you see in front of you. And we had members joining of, let's call it suppliers from companies, and we also had the participation of already the, let's call it the people who are working already in the AI Innovation Center with a startup who secured some of the funding. We connected them together, and suddenly just 3 weeks later, we were able to secure, let's call it credits, where we have now companies supporting that startup or making the next step in their, let's call it e-commerce retail step. So with these communities and already the area of the Innovation Center, we see a lot of traction where we bring suppliers, communities, education together to get those startups moving, where they can really make an impact on the cost of living or on the sustainability and use of fuel. Yep. So that is really interesting to see.
And also there are maybe also good to mention that the startups that are located in the center, but also companies from outside the center, they are invited to come pitch their use cases, for example, on events. And we really believe that with this approach of circles, so people focus on deep learning, this will be also really a generation machine of new projects and use cases in those fields. And maybe also interesting that we also want to move from more this generic topics to more of an industry vertical approach later on, when we have a critical mass and that we can make, again, let's say sub-communities within the deep learning field, for example, for deep learning in health, for example, or other kind of verticals that we can generate, again, new initiatives, new use cases, etc.
And that emphasizes again, this is by the community, for the community, and it evolves to fit the needs of the AI leadership forum. Maybe something about the founders team, Paul.
Yeah, so when we started composing this initiative of the AI Innovation Center, we realized that we basically ourselves don't know anything about AI, right? So myself, I have a background in marketing, and I'm not at all a technical guy. So we were thinking, how can we do this right? So we teamed up with Philips ASML, NXP, and Signify, and asked them, hey, help us with developing the strategy of the center, help us with defining the activities that we should do to really bring as much value to industry as possible. And these 4 guys of the founding members, they were willing to help us with that, and we work very intensively together with them to bring this center forward. So that's one part of how we work, and the other part, of course, is with the leadership forum, and another part is with the core team that we have, which is on the next slide. And these are the people that drive daily activities in the center. So Carina, she was not able to be here because she's on holiday, unfortunately, but she really is the chief of the community, let's say. She's driving the leadership forum, so she will also be your single point of contact, basically, for everything that has to do with community. Single point of contact in this case doesn't mean that we're not willing to talk to you. The other way around, actually. But this is the team. We also have 2 graduate interns from the Technical University doing research on the first one, Kenny, on how we should orchestrate the ecosystem to bring value to companies in the long run. And Martina, she's doing a research more on the what are the boundaries. We talked about this before also, but what are the psychological boundaries for people to start adopting AI, and we're really looking forward to take this research immediately into practice in the program that we're running in the center. And Dan is helping us. He's a data science intern from the TUE as well, and he helps us with our own dashboards, measuring
and testing data.
Yeah, testing data and helping us become data-driven ourselves as an organization by design, I would say.
Yeah. I think the tagline that I remember about Martina is why people buy iPhones and don't buy solar panels. That's a tagline I always remember, but that's the challenge that we have in front of us.
Yeah. So this was our story for now. So we have an opening or organic kickoff event of the circles on June 14. You can find all information about this on hightechcampus.com/AI. If you click through in the leadership banner, then you can leadership forum banner. You can find more information about what this forum is about and how you can participate. So that's the call to action, I think, for today. If you're willing to help drive this this movement on in this region, help us with industrialization of AI in the Brainport Eindhoven area, join us, please, because we really need your knowledge, your drive, your energy. Yeah, we want to be a center by design for and by the community. So really need your help.
The question is coming in: is it possible to join one of the circles with my company? So to highlight one of our values, we want to be independent, partnership independent as possible. However, we also are looking into communities who are backed by a company. This requires some interesting discussions to see what you would like to get out of us, get out of the AI Innovation Center, what you would like to bring towards the community itself. So yes, that's possible. It requires a possible extensive discussion to see that we make it mutual beneficial and remain agnostic and independent towards the community itself. So the answer is yes, but it depends.
Yeah, so just go to the link here in the slide or contact me directly. My email is in this slide as well. And you can definitely join the session on the 14th of June. We'll see if it's live or online or in a hybrid way, dependent really on the measures in 2 weeks from now. We hope that it can be live. But yeah, we will see, and we will communicate about that later on.
Yeah, and sure, it's we would like to invite you again, and even if you are a student, to join us on the AI Innovation Forum or even one of those circles. Please join us and make an impact with us.
Yeah, and I think students are actually very important to have in the center, and we already have some students signed up to the leadership forum. So it's not only about seasoned industry leaders; it's really about diversity and having an inclusive community with people with different views on what AI is and what we can do with it and what we should develop as AI Innovation Center. Because attracting talent for the companies here in the region, and also making the campus even a more attractive place for AI talent and data science talent. This is really vital. So also if there are students in the data science or AI field looking at this moment, please sign up. We really need your help.
Yeah. Thanks.
I don't see any more questions, so I think we wrap it up from here. We hope to have you joining our leadership forum and help us with driving to our mission of industrializing AI. Thanks for now.